Welcome and thank you so much to everyone for joining this workshop on making top work for you, TOPx for federal agencies. My name is Anna Valuev and I'm Head of Strategic Initiatives for the Opportunity Project. Before we kick things off, I just wanted to start with a few housekeeping notes. If everyone could please mute their microphones, that would be great while you're not speaking. I also wanted to note that this presentation will be recorded, but then the recording will stop for questions and open discussion. We're really excited about this session where you'll learn about TOP's new model for coordinating with federal agencies to address their most critical challenges through the TOPx Toolkit. We'll then spend some time brainstorming key challenges that could be the basis of TOPx sprints. Today, I'll be joined by two of my colleagues, so I'll let them introduce themselves. But before I do, I just wanted to ask everyone again to please mute your mics. We're getting some background noise. So I'll just take a second for everyone to do that, and then I'll turn it over to Drew and Radhika.
Hi, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. I'm Drew Zachary. If you have tuned in to Demo Week so far, it's great to have you here. I'm the director and one of the co-founders of the Opportunity Project, and having been involved from the very beginning when this was just a scrappy kind of government startup to have seen it through the evolution of different phases to where we are now, launching TOPx as a really incredible new resource for federal agencies. It's so exciting. So yeah, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to Radhika. And I'll just echo, Anna, can you please mute yourself? Or perhaps if Ventana is able to mute people, we can just mute folks who are not speaking.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Anna and Drew. Hi, everyone. My name is Radhika Bhatt. I'm the Deputy Director of the Opportunity Project. In a second, we'll kind of tell everyone a little bit more about TOP and TOPx, but generally, thank you so much for being here and really excited to have this time with you.
Thanks so much, Radhika. And now I'll let you kind of do the introduction to the Opportunity Project.
Sounds great, thanks. So before we begin, I just want to provide a little bit of an overview of the Opportunity Project for those that might be less familiar. So with that, the Opportunity Project is an innovation program that's run out of the US Census Bureau. Specifically, our team is the Census Open Innovation Labs, and our program brings together technologists, government, and communities to rapidly prototype digital products that are powered by federal open data. And all of these products solve real-world problems for communities across the country. The Opportunity Project works to address mission-critical challenges that are identified by federal agencies. So the process always begins with agencies like yours identifying public-facing national challenges for data-driven innovation. In the past, these have ranged from environmental challenges like the ones that we focused on this year. We've also focused on strengthening the workforce with the Department of Labor. We've also addressed veterans' homelessness with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we've also ran a sprint on preparing citizens to respond to natural disasters in partnership with FEMA. And you can see some of the other themes that we've worked on this slide as well. Once problem statements have been developed, tech teams from private industry and universities sign on to address the challenge through a digital product they build over the course of a 12-week tech development sprint. These tech teams come from small startups all the way to big tech companies like IBM and Microsoft, and we've also had a lot of universities and civic tech organizations involved as well. In addition to the tech teams, each sprint includes a coalition of experts who support the teams through a human-centered approach. This includes federal agency policy experts who write the problem statement, federal data stewards who answer questions about open data and help teams identify relevant data sets. And we also have user advocates who represent communities and potential end users of the products. Over the course of the 12 weeks, we have milestone calls, which all of the sprint collaborators join. During the first few weeks, tech teams conduct user research to understand the challenges on the ground as they relate to the problem statement. And during this phase, user advocates and government experts are key to contextualizing the challenges. During the user research milestone, tech teams share some insights that they've learned through this user research, and they also receive feedback and thoughts from others. Then comes the data exploration phase, where teams connect with federal data experts. And after that, we move into the build phase, where the sprint comes together for 2 demos where tech teams are sharing their process, sharing their actual product, and getting feedback. Then in December, we hold a demo day, which is where we are right now, which is the time where we celebrate all of the work done throughout the entire year with the Opportune project.
Over the last 5 years, we have been iterating on this model and refining the process that you have seen throughout Demo Week and that Radhika just described. And just to take a step back and kind of reflect on the context of that, in our very first sprint, we had a 6 to 8 week process that did not include any end users or product advisors or data stewards. It was just 12 tech teams and a handful of federal employees. So over the years, to go from that process to the very detailed, refined, mature model that we're at today has really taken a lot of work and user research and careful thought and testing over 5 years and more than 10, I think 11 sprint cycles. So each time we've iterated on different aspects of the process. And like I believe Anna said yesterday, we really consider this incubating this capability on behalf of federal government in general. So although the Census Bureau derives a lot of value from this process and the model, it's not limited to the Census Bureau or the Department of Commerce. It's something that any agency should really be able to adopt and benefit from. And so that was the purpose of launching this next phase of TOPx, is that in addition to continuing more, sprints focused on census data and census priorities, we will be supporting additional TOPx sprints that enable any agency to use this model on adaptable timelines that benefit the most significant areas of your mission. And Anna will be actually doing a live demo of the TOPx toolkit, which is very exciting, and really looking under the hood at exactly how it works in much more detail than you were able to hear about yesterday. But I do hope that everyone caught the presentations from the pilot sprint program of TOPx that was run by the Department of State's Office of Foreign Assistance alongside our team. So that pilot was really the proof of concept that this works. And we hope that, I see there's colleagues from Census, from NASA, from VA on the line today. I hope that you will all consider using this model to run your own top sprints in ways that we haven't been able to offer before. And the last thing that I'll mention here is that the reason we really want other agencies to be able to do this is that there's so much that agencies learn from participating in the Opportunity Project. And hopefully you've heard that over the last few days. But in addition to just the tools that are catalyzed and built by the tech teams in the process, which of course is a benefit and that helps agencies in its own way, agencies also gain knowledge about their data consumers. They're able to improve their data by better understanding how it's used. Really concrete knowledge about human-centered design and how we can be more human-centered and customer experience oriented in how we serve the public. And just new innovation strategies, things like that are not completely new, like agile work processes and iteratively developing different products and ways of communicating with external stakeholders through open innovation. All of these things are benefits of participating in TOP. And so through the TOPx toolkit, we hope to be able to really 10x the reach that has across government and scale our impact. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Anna, who will give you all a much closer look at the TOPx toolkit.
Thanks so much, Drew. And just before I dive in, I just wanted to kind of set kind of expectations of what you'll see, which is that the toolkit breaks our process into three phases with really easy to follow steps. They each have descriptions, estimated effort levels, and downloadable resources. So that's what you're about to see. The TOPx toolkit just launched on our website this week. And so if you go to opportunity.census.gov, it'll be on the homepage right under the toolkits. And so today what I wanted to do is actually click on it and show it to all of you. And so we'll be walking through what this toolkit looks like. Really what this toolkit does is it walks agencies through the process of identifying priorities at the hearts of their agencies and at the hearts of their missions, recruiting cross-sector collaborators, and actually facilitating these 10 to 12-week virtual technology development sprints. And like Drew mentioned, there are so many benefits to agencies for facilitating sprints, including, meeting federal requirements for reuse of federal data, facilitating a really lightweight and cost-effective model that all happens virtually, catalyzing innovation within your agency, and engaging with your data consumers, really understanding their needs and improving data quality, like we heard from the Office of Foreign Assistance yesterday. And so as you can see, the TOPx process is split into these 3 phases. We give the effort level and the time required so that you and your team can really dedicate resources correctly. And I also wanted to note that we created this glossary of key terms because facilitating a TOPx sprint really doesn't require any tech or product development knowledge, but we wanted to equip everyone with with terms that might be useful, like end user and human-centered design and user experience, which are things that you might hear us say, but we define them really simply and easily to understand here, just to get everyone up to speed. And so now let's dive into the actual toolkit. The first phase of the sprint process includes pre-sprint planning. So you'll begin with forming a facilitation team who are the group within your agency who will work together to actually lead the sprint process. You'll see that under each step of the TOPx toolkit, we have key actions, which are steps that you'll want to take during that time period. So in this that includes spreading the word, identifying an executive champion within your agency, and really building your team. After the key actions, you'll also see resources within each step that you can use. You can download them as Word documents, and you can modify them and adapt them to work best for you. And you'll see that for forming a facilitation team, we offer an overview document for agencies. So you can spread the word internally. You can, again, modify it as you see fit. And then we also have some tips for potential roles of your facilitation team. So after forming that team who will kind of be leading the effort at your agency, the next step will be to define a problem statement. And what we do is we offer resources here, like what makes a good problem statement. We have tips and guidelines from lessons learned over the past few years. We have all of TOP's past problem statements that you can take a look at. And we have a problem statement template form that you can use to really develop a problem statement using the model that we've developed. After that, you'll want to recruit cross-sector participants like those tech teams and the user advocates and data stewards that we mentioned earlier. And so that really includes identifying your sprint timeline, modifying any outreach materials, and actually doing the outreach. But we walk you through all of that. And then we also have some resources. So we have this sprint timeline for you that you can modify. We have an overview of the roles. We have some documents that you can share with potential participants so that you're all good to go when you're ready to do that recruitment. And then finally, once you've actually recruited those groups of participants, all you'll need to do is do some last minute prep. So you'll kind of confirm with everyone and get your communication channels up and running. And we offer suggestions of different digital communication platforms that might work best for you. So now it's time to actually facilitate the 12 to 14-week sprint, and that's what you do in phase 2. We start with some ongoing tasks to keep in mind throughout the sprint. So that'll include, sending calendar invites and emails in between milestones, and we offer all of that information to you. Additionally, what we've provided is a milestone facilitation guide template. And so that really helps agencies think about preparing for each milestone and making sure that they know, who will lead the call, who might take notes, what the time will look like for each milestone. And so we provide that template here that, again, you'll be able to download as a Word doc and edit as you see fit. Then what you'll want to do is have a kickoff call. And so we provide all the information on facilitating the kickoff call and what sprint participants should be doing during that call. So you can provide that information to them and so that the call runs smoothly. After that, you'll have a user research phase where the tech teams will talk to those user advocates, community leaders, and really understand their needs. And then we have some information on actually having that user research milestone call and kind of getting the tech teams the feedback that they need.
Anna,
and the next step,
apologies, I just wanted to share, we're getting some messages from the chat. Should we be seeing something other than the homepage of your screen? Because we're currently just seeing the introduction page.
How about now? Are you seeing data exploration?
Yeah, yes, now we are. Yep.
Okay, thanks so much. Well, then actually so you all saw the introduction page, so let me just show you phase one so that, because as I was speaking, you couldn't see it. So like you see, so step one would be forming the facilitation team. We have these key actions and then all of the resources that I was describing here. And then after that, you would just jump into step two, which was defining problem statements, step three, recruiting participants, and then sprint preparation. And so at phase two, where you'll have all of these same kind of user experience aspects. And I was describing the user research phase. So tech will kind of connect with those community leaders, and then you'll facilitate a milestone call there. Then the next step, you'll have data exploration. So that's like Radhika described, where the tech teams will really engage with those data experts that you'll recruit. They'll learn about available data sets, they'll ask questions, and then you'll actually have a milestone call where everyone is on the line and tech teams can get in touch with those data experts. And we provide all the information of what should happen during that call, some resources that you can provide to teams after the call with additional data sets. And then we have a whole product development step. And so that's where you would lead some demos for the teams. They'll show their progress, they'll show their actual product, and then they'll get feedback. And again, we have all the information about kind of what should happen during the sprint and then, or during the milestone, and then what should happen after the milestone, really encouraging teams to incorporate the feedback from the demo, begin some testing, and identifying some metrics that they could use for usage and impact. And we provide resources that you can share with tech teams, you know, the product development toolkit from the TOP website and some information about how to do usability testing. And so all of that information and all of those resources are readily available. And then once the sprint wraps up, we provide some information on the final MVP demo, the minimum viable product demo that you'll run. And then that's really it for the sprint. But we always suggest that, that you think about an end of sprint event as well. This could happen virtually, eventually it might happen in person. And so we offer kind of lessons learned from facilitating these end of sprint demo days over the past few years. And so we offer information about, you know, how you might think about your invitation list, what the cadence of the event might look like. And some resources on, you know, how to make the most of a demo day and how to get your invites and all of that. And we've also included some information on what to do if it is a virtual event. And then after that post-sprint event, you might want to think about, you know, how do you keep engaging your tech teams that participated and the user advocates and the community leaders who offered so much of their expertise during the sprint. And so we suggest that you could think about, you know, continuing to do some kind of check-ins, or you might even think about utilizing prize authority and actually giving some monetary prizes. And so that's really it for the toolkit, and we'll open it up for questions. I know that there's some chatter in the chat, but before we do that, what we'd like to do is actually share an example with you all of somebody who will be using the toolkit for a really exciting sprint this winter. It's Sarah Brenner, who's the diagnostics lead of the Data Strategy and Execution Work Group for the National COVID-19 response at the Department of Health and Human Services. So we're really excited to hear from Sarah about the work that she's doing to address this really important challenge using the TOPx model. So I will stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Sarah.
Hello, Top Demo Week. Congratulations on the culmination of an exciting process. My name is Sarah Brenner, and I'm a preventive medicine and public health physician. My home agency is the FDA, where I'm the Chief Medical Officer for in vitro diagnostics. And this year I've been concurrently serving on the national strategy or the national pandemic response team at HHS called the Data Strategy and Execution Work Group. My primary focus there has been to lead diagnostic data at lines of effort. And we've been very focused on interoperability, on standardization, and improving the flow of diagnostic information through reporting systems for public health decision-making. This has been an exciting process. It's been an incredibly challenging one, given the environment and the urgency of everything that's going on. But it's been just an incredible opportunity to try to make huge leaps and bounds in terms of technological advancement for public health information systems and for informing how things might be done in the future as technology evolves at a quicker and quicker pace for medical devices, and in this case, specifically in vitro diagnostics or tests. I had the opportunity to participate previously in the Opportunity Project and became a big fan back in 2018. At that time, I was serving in the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy as a senior policy advisor for biomedical innovation and human health. One of the top priorities at the time that had just been announced was focusing on the opioids crisis. And so from a public health perspective, we were looking for different ways to be innovative and form public-private partnerships to develop tools that could be used to combat the opioids crisis. So one of my colleagues and I worked with the top team and had a heck of a run during one of the sprints, collaborating with a bunch of different stakeholders, both within and outside of the federal government and across the interagency, to develop digital tools and tech tools and products to combat any number of things associated with opioid use, from addiction to recovery to following drug patterns, and trying to break and mitigate the consequences of opioid use, both at an individual level as well as a population or societal level. Thinking about what I'm working on now in public health in the pandemic and how that collides with something like TOP and X, one of the ways that we're hoping to really push hard and roll out products in 21 is by leveraging the new TOPx toolkit. And how we started with that idea is in my work at HHS and thinking about diagnostic data and how to capture and harmonize and standardize and improve the flow of that. We identified this gap that's been created by the untethering of diagnostic tools from laboratories and clinical points of care, the places where you would typically get a lab test run. That landscape and that horizon has been stretched in order to accommodate the need for increased testing and availability of diagnostic tests for COVID. And that's a great thing in terms of getting more people more actionable information about their health and about their infection status. But it has created challenges, of course, in terms of gathering that information, harmonizing it, and pushing it up through public health pathways. So this gap is one area that we tried to address in a recent technology sprint approach we used at HHS. We called it the COVID at Anywhere Diagnostics Design-a-thon, and it spanned a couple of weeks. The competition phase actually just closed, and we're in the judging phase right now. We had 600 and almost 700 actually participants, and then over a couple of weeks of innovation, 31 teams submitted final capstone projects for judging. And we've been very excited with the quality and the diversity of projects and solutions that people came up with to address this new sort of technological need or gap in information gathering and reporting. So those projects that ultimately are judged to be winners, we will take and roll into a further development phase through TOPx. Initially, we were going to have few, but given the quality and how tight the scoring is looking at this point, we might have a few more and give more people the opportunity to develop and innovate through TOPx by creating a few different tracks. And so one of the things that I think is exciting about the toolkit approach that's being rolled out is the ability to adapt it to the specific stakeholders or the specific challenge or level of technological readiness that your participants have. And since there is a diversity in the crowd that has participated in the design-a-thon, we're going to use that maximum adaptability strategy to enable maximum participation. We hope to also fold in other stakeholders and other forms of advisors as user groups and advocates and those different categories that are included in TOP to further expand the community and to help us envision and concurrently plan for implementation of the products that will ultimately be commercialized through the sprint. Given the urgency of the pandemic, we really are hoping for products to be commercialized in January or February. Some are already very close to that, and others are very conceptual. So it will be a fun process. We are looking forward to it. We're big fans of the TOP team, and it's always fun. You know, you learn things that you didn't even think about going in, and you meet people and stakeholders that really bring exciting new ideas and new approaches to solving really big problems. So we certainly have a very big problem right now. So anyways, I am glad that we're participating, and I'm glad that you all are participating. I look forward to being in touch with folks as your different sprints roll out. Thank you.
We're so excited for this sprint to launch, really addressing this incredibly pressing challenge. So we really thank Sarah and her team for their work on this effort, and we really look forward to collaborating with them on the TOPx sprint this winter. And now, because we've given you so much information, what we'd like to do is open it up for questions from the audience. So please feel free to drop a question in the chat about the opportunity project model or the TOPx sprint. We'd really like to answer your questions.